Sometimes a single tweet can change the fate of a nation. For Lesotho, a tiny kingdom inside South Africa, that tweet was a thunderbolt. Their economy depended on free trade with the United States, a lifeline that built factories and created jobs. Then, in April 2025, the Trump administration threatened a 50% tariff on all Lesotho's exports to America. It was the highest tariff threat in the world, and it hit Lesotho like an earthquake. The news raced through Maseru, the capital, and echoed in the textile factories where thousands worked. Suddenly, the hum of sewing machines sounded like a countdown to disaster. The American dream they were building felt like it was slipping away. One decision in Washington, D.C. threatened to undo decades of progress. The people of Lesotho had played by the rules, but the rules had changed overnight. For workers and families, this was more than numbers. It was about survival. The partnership they relied on was gone, replaced by fear and uncertainty. The kingdom held its breath, waiting to see if their future would unravel with a single tweet. Before the crisis, Lesotho was a model of hope. Thanks to the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, Lesotho could sell clothes to America without heavy taxes. They couldn't compete in mining or tech, but they could make clothes, and they did, better than anyone in sub-Saharan Africa. Big American brands like Levi's and Walmart placed huge orders. Factories boomed, jobs multiplied, and optimism soared. For many women, these jobs meant independence and dignity. 50,000 people, mostly women, became breadwinners. Steady incomes brought better homes, healthcare, and education. This was the American dream, built in Africa. America got affordable clothes, Lesotho got a shot at prosperity. The partnership was celebrated worldwide as proof that global trade could lift even the smallest nations. The factories weren't just making clothes, they were weaving a new future. But this fabric of hope was about to be stretched to its limit. The dream that once united two continents now faced its greatest test. Lesotho's future hung by a thread. The good times ended with a shift in U.S. policy, America first. The Trump administration saw deals like AGOA as threats to American jobs, their weapon tariffs, taxes on imports. First, a 10% tariff was floated, then, Lesotho was singled out for a 50% tariff. This wasn't just a tax, it was a death sentence for Lesotho's main industry. The threat alone sent investors fleeing and brands canceling orders. Why risk business in a country about to lose its biggest customer? Factories that once buzzed with activity fell silent. Owners faced empty order books and warehouses full of unsold clothes. Production lines shut down, and hope faded. The economic engine sputtered, then stalled. The promise of AGOA was replaced by panic and uncertainty. The dream unraveled, stitch by stitch, as Lesotho watched its future slip away. A single policy shift in Washington had triggered a national crisis. The world saw how fragile global partnerships could be. The numbers were grim, but the human toll was worse. Over 10,000 people lost their jobs in months. Most were women, the backbone of their families and communities. One day, they had steady work. The next, nothing. The shock rippled through every home. "We could plan for things. Now there's nothing. My children are hungry," one worker said. The loss of wages meant less spending. Local shops, bus drivers, landlords all suffered. The collapse spread like a virus, infecting every corner of society. Progress built over decades vanished almost overnight. The true cost was measured in empty stomachs and children pulled from school. Lesotho's people were caught in a global battle they never started. They weren't a threat to American workers, just people trying to build a better life. The policy meant to show strength ended up crushing one of the world's most vulnerable economies. The suffering was real, and the world watched as Lesotho paid the price. The trade war's casualties were not just economic, they were human. The scars would last for generations. Did the tariffs help American workers? The answer, no. The plan was to bring jobs back to the U.S. by making foreign goods expensive, but instead of new factories opening in America, brands just shifted orders to other low-cost countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh. The clothes were still made overseas, just not in Lesotho. American consumers saw the same products just with different labels. The tariffs punished Lesotho but didn't spark a U.S. manufacturing boom. Meanwhile, the American economy slowed. Job growth lagged and unemployment for some groups rose. Economists warned the tariffs were doing more harm than good. In the end, it was lose-lose. Lesotho's economy was devastated, and America saw no real benefit. The policy was a blunt tool that broke more than it fixed. The pain in Lesotho did not translate into prosperity in America. Lesotho refused to give up. When the tariffs took effect, the threat dropped to 15%, but the damage was done. The era of free access to the US market was over. Lesotho scrambled to find new partners, turning to Europe and beyond. Building new trade ties is slow, and time is running out. NGOs stepped in to help laid-off workers and diversify the economy. The crisis revealed how decisions in powerful countries can devastate smaller ones. Lesotho's story is a warning. Global trade is about people, not just profits. The scars will take years to heal, and the factories may never return to their former glory. But the spirit of the people endures. They are determined to rebuild, one thread at a time. In our interconnected world, no country is an island. True strength is measured by building partnerships that lift everyone up.